tell you one director. I've been on a few sets in Chicago, and not like I was an actor, like in a speaking role or anything, but I was a stand-in on a Harold Ramis movie in Chicago, and Harold Ramis could make a very safe set. Like, he had Video Village. He was working with John Cusack. It was a movie called The Ice Harvest, link in the show notes. And the way he was back and forth between Video Village and working with John, and then in between setups when there was more complex, production design changes, he would like bring out his acoustic guitar for the, like in the extras and the stand-ins, and it was just a wonderful place to be. On that set, and he had actually, I was standing in for the actor opposite John Cusack, and I didn't know protocol because I'm like, I never had been a stand-in before. I'd done extra work. And so your sort of designation as a stand-in is you're called second team. And the first AD never told second team to stand down. That's usually what you say when the stand-ins are done in first team, the actors come in. Well, they never said that. So I'm like standing in the hallway on my mark. And then like John Cusack and Harold Ramis walk up and they're like talking about the scene literally right next to me. I'm like looking at them like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's interesting. I went to acting school, so I'm I'm like watching the BTS in person. And then like John Cusack notices and he's like, he's like, hey, how's it going? And I'm like, great. And he's like, and Harold just gives me this look, and he's like, "You can stand down."
But then I went. He didn't do it in a way.
Super awesome.
He's not like stand down, fucking idiot. Like he's.
And then I went over, and I was like watching with some distance, respectful distance, but I was watching at Video Village, and he clocked it a couple times, and he just let me. He was like, this guy's interested in the whole process and all that.
That's
the
awesome.
second AD was super nice. Like, so it was just but then I'm like, but then I'm like, you being so ignorant of set protocol and not understanding like how to like not be like the weird guy that's doing weird out of the ordinary stuff, you might have put a couple of people off. Like,
who knows though? He might have, he might have been like, oh man, that's I like that. That's keeps it interesting for him. I think we've all been on the sets where everybody's more focused on they're just chasing something. They're trying to show that they're better than everybody else in some way or another. And we've all been on the opposite. The Harold Ramis set, or like one of the biggest compliments I ever got from a model was like, that felt like therapy.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like that is the best compliment you could ever get.
Yeah. I mean, that's, arguably one of the safest places you can be, right?
Right. Like that, that's an unbelievable thing to like, if you can make, you want it to feel like that.
Right.
And, that goes for the crew, that goes for the talent. Like nobody enjoys. It's kind of, I heard this thing the other day about if there's certain people that there's an expectation that the conversation is going to be like an intellectual conversation.
Right.
And there's only so much of that that you can take.
Yep.
Like the best I think is where you can just weave in and out of, like, we can talk about some nonsense for an hour and we can talk about something that's meaningful to us for an hour. And we can weave those in and out. But there's certain conversations where you're like, this is going to, like, I'm going to have to really like pay attention in a way that's like, recall and and maybe that's just how I look at some of these things, but it's like that's exhausting.
It can be,
a lot of times you just want to be able to just
flow,
exist.
It had been a golden afternoon, and I remember having the familiar conviction that life was beginning over again with the sunrise.